Welcome to Divine Enlightenment. My name is Jeff Sizemore, and I'm here to educate you and teach you about the 42-day process to peace and prosperity. Today I'm going to share with you some people that I was able to help go through the process in 2025. At that time, I had a partner named Carrie. In 2023, God came to me and asked me to become a life coach and to start a life coaching practice where I would use the 42-day process. After finishing my training and becoming a certified life coach, God then asked me to put my life coaching practice on hold. In November of 2024, God then asked me to seek out a person who was already a life coach and who already had a life coaching practice. That's when I met Carrie in January 2025. Carrie lived in Boulder, Colorado, and had a life coaching practice that he did on TikTok. He had been practicing his life coaching on TikTok for over a year and had a following of about 30 people. We decided to document Carrie's journey of going through the 42-day process on his TikTok channel. At that time, there was a couple who decided to also go through the process and also teach their 4 children how to do the 42-day process. They both were suffering from some kind of addiction. They had 3 children that were suffering from some kind of mental issue. They had a 12-year-old son who had been suffering from depression since the age of 6. He had been seeing 2 therapists twice a week for the past 6 years. They had a 10-year-old daughter who was suffering from autism, and they had an 8-year-old daughter who was suffering from being nonverbal. After they all finished the 42-day process, the parents no longer suffered from their addiction. Their 12-year-old son no longer suffered from depression. He was able to go in front of a board of 3 therapists who determined that the therapy must have worked. He was no longer suffering from depression, and he no longer needed to go to therapy. Their 10-year-old daughter, who was suffering from autism, her autism now had been downgraded. Their 8-year-old daughter, who had been suffering from being nonverbal, now became verbal. The next person we were able to take through the process was Gregory. Gregory was someone who I knew from the ACS group that David was teaching. Gregory left the group in 2013 and had no contact with him till April of 2025. That's when Gregory reached out to me and asked me for help. He said that he felt lost in life and he felt like he had no meaning and purpose after losing his job as being a therapist at a rehabilitation center for troubled youth. He had lost that job about a year ago and was struggling to find another therapist job. Gregory decided to do the 42-day process. By week 4 of doing the 42-day process, the job offerings started to pour in. By week 6, Gregory had 6 job offers as a therapist, either working with adults or working with children. He decided to take a job working with troubled teenagers. He also decided to start his own therapy business, working with children who had mental issues so he could help them become happy and healthy. After finishing the 42-day process, Gregory thought that he could finally become the therapist he always dreamed of. He finally thought he could live out his dream of being an amazing therapist. The next person we were able to help was a friend of Carrie's who had been divorced for years. He felt like he could never trust a woman again and he could never love a woman again, but he yearned to be in a relationship. He was suffering from a broken heart. He decided to do the 42-day process and he decided to heal his broken heart. After finishing the 42-day process, he met an amazing woman and they started to date, eventually falling in love. He said to me, I now think I can love again like I never loved before. The next person we were able to take through the process was actually a married couple of 25 years. They were going through a divorce and decided to do the process together. By week 4, they called off the divorce, and when they finished doing the 42-day process, they felt like they were more in love than they had ever been in love before. They were excited to live out their life as a happy, loving couple till the day they died. Carrie and I worked hard over the next 11 months trying to build a life coaching business teaching the 42-day process. We would go on TikTok daily to try to find clients who would pay us to coach them through the 42-day process. Unfortunately, we were unable to ever find anyone who was willing to pay us to coach them. We also realized we had a difference in philosophy on how to do the 42-day process, and we decided to part ways. That's when God came to me and told me, Jeff, you can't coach the 42-day process, but you can educate it and you can teach it. So why not start a YouTube channel? That's when I created this channel, Divine Enlightenment, so I could educate and teach people the 42-day process to peace and prosperity. So my next video is going to actually be about how to do the process. The process is an easy process. It only takes 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes at night. The only thing I ask you to do is to be committed to do the 42-day process consecutively for 42 days, not missing a day or skipping a day. And by day 43, you will decide to do the 42-day process for the rest of your life. If you're someone who's suffering from a sickness, if you're someone who's suffering from being a victim in life, if you're someone who's coasting in life, or you're even someone who's blossoming in life but wants to be self-enlightened, you're going to want to watch that video and you're going to want to start that process.